On the first Thursday in May, just before the King's coronation, I was blue-lit to A&E at the Northern General. At the time, I was adamant all I had was a nasty cough. However, my husband felt differently and rang 111. A chest x-ray was done upon my arrival, which showed that I had pneumonia. That's the last thing I remember thinking before I woke up 2 weeks later in critical care. I have a better grasp now on everything that has contributed to where I am today. I did have pneumonia, bilateral pneumonia along with invasive group A strep and severe sepsis. I've seen the paramedics' notes and they already had a working theory of sepsis prior to my admission to A&E. Shortly after my x-ray, I went into cardiac arrest and CPR was performed for 3 minutes whilst they worked to start my heart again. I was then moved to intensive care and efforts to save me were intensified. My prognosis was grim for the first few days. My husband was told I was unlikely to recover. The nurses took a recording of my heartbeat, my handprints and a lock of my hair as memories for him, and he told my 2 daughters, 3 and 6 at the time, that Mummy was very poorly and there was a chance I might not come home. I spent 42 days in critical care in the Northern General Hospital and a further 6 weeks in the infectious diseases ward at the Hallamshire. As a result of the vasopressors that were administered at the beginning to raise my blood pressure, I have lost my right leg below the knee, the toes on my left foot and parts or all of my fingers. My heart, my lungs and my kidneys struggled immensely as a result of the sepsis and my recovery has been so slow, but I'm still here. When I woke up in critical care, I had no idea what had happened and initially assumed that I was just going to die there. I was on a ventilator, so communication was difficult and I was very weak. A turning point came one morning around 5 weeks into my stay when a vascular consultant came to see me. He read my notes for a while and then sat down and gave it to me straight. My right foot and ankle couldn't be saved. He said that a below-knee amputation was the only solution. This would give me the best chance of walking with a prosthetic leg and a greater quality of life in the long term. This jolted something awake in me. Surely they wouldn't give me a prosthetic leg if I was going to die. It then became clear that there were already conversations happening which were mapping out my future, my treatment and potential recovery. This gave me a glimmer of hope, a chance to get back to my family. I could walk with a prosthetic leg. I would figure it out. I just wanted to go home. My body has performed miracle after miracle and gradually started to heal itself. My illness and the resulting changes to my appearance had a massive impact on my physical and mental health. I grieved for the person that I was before and for what was lost, not just in my physical appearance, but for how our lives would need to adapt. This grief sat alongside the overwhelming guilt that I felt for everything I had put my family through. They accepted me back so easily. My children had a resilience that was remarkable. We named my new stump Stella, and when I received my prosthetic leg, I called him Nathan, and suddenly there was a new power couple. As my physical and mental health strengthened, I began to think about what kind of person I wanted to be in this new life I had, what kind of wife, mother, amputee. I learnt to drive again and got tattoos and piercings I'd wanted but never dared have before. Once the shift in my mindset that this was my new reality had occurred and been accepted, the possibilities started to feel endless. My memories of hospital and how poorly I'd been began to exist alongside the new memories I was making. There are grey days where I wish things had ended differently, and I now accept that it's okay to feel this way. When things are low, I think about the countless people within Sheffield NHS who invested so much of their time, energy and expertise into putting me back together again and caring for me, and I think about my family who waited so patiently for me to come back to them. They keep me going on those days when it feels harder to smile. The level of care that I've received from the NHS throughout this has been absolutely phenomenal and is still continuing. From the beginning of this journey, I was desperate to know how it would end. What would be the outcome of all of this? How would I look? What would I be like? But as time has gone on, I've realised there is no ending, just new chapters.